often describe the human ego as being nothing more than a habit of thinking. And it's a habit of thinking we are separate from our creator, separate from our power, separate from each other. And I sometimes use the term demiurge to describe the collective version of that ego. And that demiurge seems like a powerful force. It's easy to get hypnotized by this idea that there's powerful evil in the world and that we are powerless. Our own individual egos love to hypnotize us into believing that we are separate and that we are powerless. And thus the collective version of that likes to hypnotize us en masse to believe we are powerless. It is a habit we have gotten into. Some habits are wonderful, but there are detrimental habits. The only way to overcome a habit is through the replacement of one habit with another. We are in the midst of, as we always have been, a choice as a species to overcome this habit of the demiurge or to succumb to it. And within that, many of us as individuals will be overcoming our own personal version of that habit seemingly more quickly than others. And the point of doing that is not so that you can just say, out of here, I'm done with this, I'm out of here. It's so that you can help others. If you're a couple steps in front of other people, it gives you the opportunity to help them. Nobody's free until everybody's free. This idea of leaving people behind or leaving souls behind is a product of the ego, because the ego is the idea of separation. The idea that there are them and us, the idea that there is an other, the idea that some people are going to hell and other people are going to heaven, all of these are products of an ego mind, an idea that we are separate. Until we're capable of healing that rift within our own consciousness, we have very little to offer other people. But like I said before, as you do heal that rift in your consciousness, you are confronted with the understanding that until everybody is healed of that, you're not totally healed yourself. The way we take our power back is by transcending the thought system based on fear in favor of the thought system based on truth, turning away from a lie and embracing the truth. This is the method by which we dissolve this idea of the ego. And when we do that, we recognize our only function is to be of service, to be helpful. Everybody's going to be helpful in their own unique way that may or may not look helpful to the naked eye, but helpful it is. If you're not awakened first, you're the blind leading the blind. Our primary goal has to be our own awakening and the retrieval of the power we have given away. The retrieval of the power we have given away has to be our priority. Until we prove to ourselves we do have power to overcome, we do have power over the world, over the ego, any kind of helpfulness we offer is not helpful. It's interference. Until we've awakened, chances are helpfulness is just another version of our own fearful thinking. We live in a time where fear is up probably to at least a 9 out of 10. The level of fear we are experiencing is an indicator of our level of awakening. If you're feeling and experiencing fear, it's not that you're wrong or bad. It's not that you should suppress the fear, but to understand that fear is an indicator there's work for you to do on yourself. The tendency is to run away from our own awakening. We feel like we have to go help put out a bunch of fires. But people going out and trying to put out a bunch of fires before they understand how to put out fires tends to help the fires spread. It's important for us to get centered into what our fear is. Face the fear, experience the fear as a pointer toward the unhealed parts of ourselves that need to be addressed so that we can be helpful. It's daunting to face our fears. It's much easier to just go watch something on television or scroll through TikTok than to turn and face our fears. What we're afraid of here in this world is based on illusion existentially. If you were to pull back from the storyline of your life, and you were to pull back and move out into space in your consciousness and start to see the earth disappear as you pull back, and then you pull back farther and you start to see the sun turning into a more distant star, and pull back more, the cosmos itself becomes very different looking. You recognize that in linear time, after your body dies and your personality dies, even if you've done really great, wonderful work, chances are that after a few generations, nobody will even remember your name or that you existed. To the ego, that's awful. The idea that nobody will remember you is awful. But to the soul, that's good news. It's a reminder that we as souls are bigger than the storyline. Ultimately, what is there to fear? Maybe there is something to fear within three-dimensional reality. Maybe there's something to fear within this time, within this space. There's a lot of drama. But when you recognize that on a grander scale, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. So your body dies. It's going to die anyway. So your personality gets swallowed up into the cosmos. It's nothing. Your personality is just a construct based on surviving in this particular type of world. But your soul doesn't die. Your soul is eternal. You're still going to be aware. You're always going to be aware. And that awareness is who you are. That awareness can't die and will continue forever in some expression or another. Just understanding that the storyline doesn't really matter helps you to look at the fear, understand what the fear is without so much pain, because you recognize that it doesn't really matter ultimately. The fear is there on an individual ego basis in order to keep you separate, and on a collective or demiurgic basis to keep part of the civilization down in favor of another part of the civilization. It's nothing new. It's been going on since the beginning of civilization. There's always been some powerful people trying to keep everybody else down. And that is an expression of what we do internally to ourselves. These internal thoughts that are always trying to keep us down, keep us from expressing ourselves as we truly are, as our true selves. Of course, it makes sense that since this is what we do individually, that we will be allowing for such a thing to be happening collectively. Looking at your life the way I expressed a moment ago, to recognize that you're more than just this life, more than just this body, more than just this personality, is going to depress your ego, but it's going to give your soul a lot more credence. The idea of doing that is just to make it easier for you to confront the fear. You recognize fear itself is mortal. And the fear is how we are capable of being manipulated. First and foremost, by our own ego mind, by our own creativity being used against ourselves. And then as a result of that, we are easily manipulated by other powers in the world, by the demiurge at large. It's through fear that we are easily manipulated. If we don't confront that fear and we don't overcome that fear, we are always going to be manipulated, either internally or externally, and usually a bit of both. It's important for us to daily meditate as a way to confront what it is we're afraid of. What are you afraid of? What could possibly happen to you that you're so afraid of? Allowing yourself to just sit and confront that, you'll notice how fragile that fear actually is. The more you recognize how fragile your fear is, the more you want to confront it. And the more you confront it, and the more it melts away, the freer you feel, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the easier it is for other people to feel safe confronting their fears. And it's not because you're necessarily telling them to do that. This is all psychic. It's all telepathic. The more fear you're allowing yourself to dispose of, the easier it is for other people to release their fear. And that's truly how you are a healer. That is how you are a healer. You're a healer because you exist in a place where you have let go of so much of the fear that was running you. And that allows for your own spiritual magnetism to be freed up. And the electromagnetic field that you are, when it's freed up, can't help but heal. You heal whether you try to or not. In fact, it usually works better when we don't know that we're doing it. When we let go of the fear that's running us and recognize how imprisoned we are and how manipulated we are. When you recognize how manipulated you are, the first response is usually anger. And so it should be. When you realize how much you have been cowering your whole life based on nothing, it should anger you. But that anger is an indication you are reclaiming your power. Not all anger is bad. There's righteous fury. Righteous fury doesn't have the desire to destroy. It has the desire to connect. It has the desire to let go the fear-based prison walls we thought we were entrapped in. The chains we always thought we had to carry about. That fury dissolves those chains because it recognizes their unreality. That's how you're able to look at anything and say, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. There's nothing to fear here. Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel didn't even worry about the lions. The lions didn't bother him one bit. That's just a symbol. It's just a story. But that's you. That's me. Each of us is Daniel in the lion's den. The lion's den is our own ego first and foremost. And then collectively, it's the demiurge. It's this whole world. You can see many instances of you being in that lion's den. We always say, oh, well, I guess the lions are going to bite me again today. Nothing I can do about it. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. We turn and face it. The ego was always nothing. The ego's dirty little secret is that it doesn't exist. And neither does the demiurge, and neither do these problems out there that we are having. They don't have a center. And since they don't have a center, when we stop giving them our attention and our power, they have to collapse. Every single one has to collapse. And it does eventually in cycles. You can see it throughout any period in time when there's been great corrupt governments, awful dictators, things like that. They always fall. It eventually falls. It unravels because it has no center. But we can take it one step further where we say we're no longer victimized by the ego. We're no longer victimized by the demiurge. We're no longer manipulatable because we're immune. We recognize you for what you are, a paper tiger. You're nothing. You're the wizard behind the curtain. We must give a little time every day to facing and confronting our fear and applying wisdom to the fear, applying common sense to what we're afraid of. And remember that common sense, when you're coming from the point of view of an eternal being, an eternal soul that's indestructible, applying the understanding of that, the common sense there is, therefore, there's nothing for me to fear. We are vulnerable to the degree we are defensive. We are vulnerable to the degree we attack. We believe our defenses are defending against this thing about which we are afraid. We're validating it. We're saying, yes, you are real, and therefore I have to attack you, I have to defend myself from you. But when we turn and face it and recognize its unreality and withdraw our energy from it, take our power back from it, it dries up, withers away, and floats off into the native nothingness from whence it came. It was never what we thought it was. It was all a lie. Overcoming the ego is as easy as recognizing its unreality. Overcoming the demiurge is as easy as disregarding it. but it won't be easy until we are willing to face the fear and recognize it doesn't have power over us. Now, it's easy for me to say that here in the comfort of this studio while we're having this conversation. It's harder for me to say that when I'm looking down the barrel of a rifle. And I've been there before. I know what that's like. When we practice daily confronting our fears and allowing ourselves to dissolve those fears by recognizing their unreality, for one thing, we are less inclined to be in situations where we're confronted like that. And when we are in situations where we're confronted like that, we have practiced, so we know the response. You'll know what to do. If you're tuned into your inner guidance and you're in a situation where you got to get stuff together to protect your body and protect your home, you'll be shown what to do. You will. But it's not because you're riddled with crippling, paralyzing fear. It's because you're listening to wisdom. And that wisdom is going to take you where you need to be so that everything is safe, so that you can continue your work in dismantling the ego and dismantling the demiurge and not letting it get to you. Everybody's going to have their own unique role in this. Some people dismantle the demiurge by being active politically. Some people dismantle the demiurge by being active spiritually. Some people do it in groups. Some people do it alone. Everybody's got their part to play. But I'll tell you this, when the ego is most active is when it's aware of its vulnerability. The more the ego is activated, the more you know it's on its way out. It's dying. And when we understand that, we're no longer pulled into it as much. We're no longer pulled into the panic, the fear, or the defensiveness and attack. Habitual thought forms have their own survival instinct. It's just because we've misappropriated our minds to use our own creativity against ourselves and against one another. The ego does have its own survival instinct, and it does know it's on its way out, and that's when it tends to get activated. And that's also when it tends to reveal itself. And that's when it tends to make more mistakes. When you notice the demiurge being activated in the world, recognize it for what it is. The death throes of it. This is really good news. This is really good news that in this particular moment in time, we have an opportunity to awaken in a way that we haven't had before. And while the whole world wants to believe that everything is bad, everything is getting worse, there's no hope for the future, recognize it for what it is. All that stuff, all those thoughts coming up to the surface in order to be released. If it's on the way up, it's on the way out. That's the way it works. If that doesn't give you comfort, I want you to meditate on that for a little longer until it does. Because it's the truth. That we are in a wonderful time in history, not a horrible time in history. I know that doesn't sound right, and most people would disagree with me on that. But we are in a wonderful time in history where wonderful things can take place. A lot of the things that we are so afraid of will either be gone or we'll recognize they weren't anything to fear, that we misunderstood them. It's up to us to confront our fears and allow those fears to return to the native nothingness from whence they came, so that we're no longer capable of being manipulated during the death throes of our own egos and the death throes of this collective demiurge. It feels dangerous. It feels very scary. And at the same time, it's exciting because we know good things are on the way. So take heart. Don't give away your power to fear. Dedicate some time every day to confronting your fears and to seeing the unreality of your own ego and also the unreality of the collective ego. You're equally as important as every other healer on this planet. Equally. There's nobody more powerful than you. And as we understand our own power and we claim our own power, we are less inclined to give our power away to fear. There's nothing to fear. I have absolutely no fear in my ego. is what we have to start telling ourselves. I have absolutely no fear of the future. I'm not afraid of the future. Imagine that feeling. I'm not afraid of the future. The future only holds good. I'm not afraid of what's happening now. Good is coming through all of this. Everything is rebalancing itself. Everything is healing itself. And if I'm hypnotized into being afraid of what's going on, I'm missing out on the healing that is here for me and for everybody. Seeing it from those eyes and understanding it from that point of view is all that's necessary. The rest of it takes care of itself. You don't really have to do anything. You just have to recognize it and not get caught up in the old habits of fear-based thinking and the old addiction to separation. We're going to let go of that now. We're going to start seeing people working together that we thought we'd never see work together. We're going to see people from different factions and walks of life that have always been at odds with one another coming together and working for common good. And we're going to look at that and we're going to say, whoa, that's a miracle. How did that happen? Well, part of it is because of you. Because you were willing to hold this vision. You were willing to confront your own fears. You were willing to let go of your own addiction to fear and not be bullied anymore. And as a result of that, your healing force moves out into the world and inspires all of this wonderful coming together that you're going to be witnessing as a result of this. And this isn't a prediction. I'm not predicting. It's just logic. Once we let go of the fear, once we let go of our propensity to be manipulated by the ego and the collective version of that ego, then good things happen. Remember how light works. When you flip on a light in the room, the darkness is gone. You don't need every single light in the room on in order for the darkness to be gone. One will suffice. And then you can go around and turn on the other lights if you want, but a little bit of light is all it takes. And so you having that little bit of light is doing a lot to make so many things happen in this world that we thought impossible. That's how much power you have right here, right now, just by confronting your fears and not being willing to be manipulated anymore by your own ego or by other people. That's how much power you have. It's amazing. You've got a lot of power, and you're going to learn how to use it more and more, and so are the rest of us. And as we do that, we are going to see things change. And yes, sometimes change looks like things are getting worse. Just like in any disease, it can seem like it's getting worse, but you hit the healing crisis. And as soon as you hit the healing crisis, things turn the other direction. And you start seeing that healing happen, and it's better than you thought that it was going to be. And that's what we can look forward to. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.